If the greatest scientific discovery in history began in a quiet monastery garden with nothing more than a handful of pea plants. Imagine spending years making thousands of careful observations, writing pages of detailed notes, discovering the hidden rules that explain why children look like their parents, only for the entire world to ignore your work. No awards, no fame, no headlines, just silence. But decades later, scientists would uncover those forgotten notebooks and realize they contained one of the greatest discoveries ever made, the foundation of modern genetics. Today, every doctor studying inherited diseases, every scientist improving crops, and every researcher exploring DNA is building upon the work of one humble monk. This is the incredible true story of Gregor Mendel, the man who unlocked the secrets of heredity and became known as the father of genetics. Stay until the end, because Mendel's greatest victory came long after he was gone, and it changed the world forever. A boy who loved nature. Gregor Johann Mendel was born on July 20, 1822, in the small village of Heinzendorf, in what is now the Czech Republic. His parents were hard-working farmers. Life was simple. The family depended on the land for food and income. From an early age, young Gregor spent countless hours outdoors. He watched flowers bloom in spring. He noticed how fruit trees produced different kinds of apples. He wondered why some plants grew taller while others stayed short. Unlike many children, Gregor didn't simply enjoy nature. He asked questions about it. Why did one flower have purple petals while another had white? Why were some peas smooth and others wrinkled? At the time, nobody could answer these questions. People believed traits were simply passed from parents to children, but no one understood how. Little did anyone know that this curious boy would one day solve that mystery. The dream of learning. Although Gregor loved learning, his family struggled financially. Paying for school was difficult. Many times, it seemed his education might end. Yet his teachers recognized something special. He was patient, thoughtful, and eager to understand the world. With determination and support from others, Gregor continued his studies. He excelled in mathematics, science, and philosophy. His love of knowledge only grew stronger. Eventually, he joined St. Thomas's Abbey in Brno. Becoming a monk gave him something priceless. Time to study. Time to think. Time to ask questions that few people had ever considered. The monastery wasn't just a place of prayer. It was also a center of education, science, and learning. There, Gregor found the perfect environment for his curious mind. A teacher who never stopped learning. Inside the monastery, Gregor became known for his kindness and intelligence. He taught students. He read scientific books. He discussed ideas with fellow scholars. Still, he wanted to learn more. The monastery sent him to the University of Vienna, where he studied mathematics, physics, and natural science. These subjects shaped the way he thought. Instead of making guesses, he learned to rely on careful observation, accurate measurements, and logical conclusions. This scientific approach would later make all the difference. Many people observed plants. Gregor measured them. Many people admired flowers. Gregor counted their offspring. He believed that nature followed rules. His mission was to discover them. The garden that changed science. Back at the monastery, Gregor found the perfect laboratory. It wasn't filled with expensive machines. It wasn't crowded with famous scientists. It was simply a peaceful garden. There, he planted hundreds of pea plants. Why peas? Because they were easy to grow. They produced many offspring. And they displayed clear differences. Some plants were tall. Others were short. Some peas were round. Others were wrinkled. Some flowers were purple. Others were white. These simple differences became the key to one of history's greatest discoveries. A patient experiment. Gregor didn't rely on luck. He carefully controlled every experiment. Using tiny brushes, he transferred pollen from one flower to another. He prevented unwanted pollination. Every plant received a label. Every result was recorded. Year after year. Season after season. He repeated the same experiments. Thousands of times. Many people would have become bored. Gregor became fascinated. Slowly, patterns began to appear. When he crossed tall plants with short plants, the first generation was almost always tall. But when those plants produced new seeds, short plants suddenly appeared again. It wasn't random. There was a hidden pattern. Gregor realized that traits could disappear in one generation and return in the next. Nature wasn't acting by chance. It was following invisible rules. Discovering the laws of heredity. After studying more than 28,000 pea plants, Gregor reached an astonishing conclusion. Every living thing receives 2 copies of each inherited trait. One comes from the mother. The other comes from the father. Some traits are dominant. Others are recessive. A dominant trait can hide a recessive one. But the recessive trait doesn't disappear. It remains hidden and can appear in future generations. Without knowing it, Gregor had discovered the basic principles of heredity. Today we call these inherited units genes. During Mendel's lifetime, no one had even seen DNA. Yet his experiments revealed the rules that DNA follows. His work was decades ahead of its time. Sharing his discovery. Excited by his findings, Gregor presented his research to a local scientific society in 1865. The following year, his work was published in a scientific journal. He hoped scientists would examine his experiments. He believed they would continue his research. Instead, almost nothing happened. Few people read his paper. Even fewer understood it. Many scientists were focused on other ideas. Some thought his mathematics was too complicated. Others simply ignored his work. For Gregor, it was disappointing. He had uncovered something extraordinary. But the world wasn't ready to listen. A life of quiet service. As the years passed, Gregor became the abbot of the monastery. His new responsibilities left him less time for scientific research. He managed finances, helped the community, supported education. Although he never became famous during his lifetime, he remained humble. He continued believing that knowledge mattered, even if recognition never came. He didn't conduct experiments for praise. He conducted them because he wanted to understand nature. That quiet dedication would become one of the most inspiring parts of his story. The discovery that refused to disappear. Gregor Mendel passed away in 1884. To the world, he was remembered mainly as a respected monk. His scientific papers gathered dust on library shelves. It seemed his greatest discovery would be forgotten forever. But science has a remarkable way of rediscovering truth. Around the year 1900, 3 different scientists, working independently in different countries, began studying heredity. As they searched through old research papers, they found Mendel's forgotten work. To their amazement, they realized he had already discovered the principles they were trying to explain. Suddenly, the scientific world understood what it had missed. Gregor Mendel had solved the mystery decades earlier. Almost overnight, he became recognized as the founder of an entirely new field of science. The birth of genetics. Mendel's experiments became the foundation of genetics. Scientists built upon his ideas to discover chromosomes. Later came genes. Then DNA. Eventually, researchers decoded the human genome. Today, Mendel's work helps doctors understand inherited diseases, allows farmers to grow stronger crops, helps conservationists protect endangered species, and supports medical researchers developing new treatments. Every major advance in genetics traces back to the careful observations made in one monastery garden. His pea plants changed the world. A legacy that lives forever. Gregor Mendel never became wealthy. He never received a Nobel Prize. He never saw the global impact of his work. Yet few scientists have influenced humanity so deeply. His story reminds us that greatness is not measured by applause. Sometimes the most important discoveries begin quietly. With patience. With curiosity. With years of unseen effort. Today, students around the world learn Mendel's laws of inheritance. Scientists continue exploring genetics using technologies he could never have imagined. But the heart of every new discovery remains the same. Observe carefully. Ask questions. Follow the evidence. Never stop learning. Final message. Gregor Mendel once lived as an ordinary monk with an extraordinary curiosity. He proved that one person, working patiently and honestly, can change the future of humanity. His garden became a laboratory. His notebook became history. His questions became the foundation of modern biology. The next time you notice that a child has their mother's eyes, or their father's smile, remember the quiet monk who first explained why. Because every great discovery begins with a simple question. And sometimes, the smallest seeds grow into the greatest ideas. The end.